What's up, everyone? Welcome to When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique,
I'm Dexter Peggins.
and we're on our fourth interview for "I'm a Man, I Was Molested," and we're about to bring him on. And while we're about to bring him on, uh, we really appreciate everyone's love and support. We've had a lot of feedback. We had a lot of emails, and we really appreciate everyone really giving us some valuable feedback because that's what's really important. So we're excited, and this is the last the last episode for the series for a little minute, or we're just gonna see how it goes.
We're gonna see how it goes.
We'll just see how it goes. So because we still have, and what we don't want to do, the folks who have contacted us, it is a huge step
Yeah.
for them to make that, to say, look, I'm ready to tell my story. So one of the things we don't want to do, because we didn't really know how many people was gonna get in contact with us. But one thing we do want to do, or we don't want to happen, is for those guys who have stepped up to the plate. We don't want them to wait too long. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna bring in Mr. Antoine Frazier. He is our next guest that we're gonna bring on, and he's gonna be sharing his story of being molested as a child and his experiences and so forth. So we're gonna go ahead and bring him on. So just give us 1 minute to go ahead and bring.
Yeah, and while it's coming in, once again, please feel free to share this with your audiences, your networks. And also, if you have questions, type them in the comment section. And we'll do our best to come around and have Antoine answer those questions. As Dominique has stated, this is the fourth particular conversation around this subject matter of I'm a man and I was molested. But this is actually the third episode of this season. So if you've missed any of them, I want to encourage you to go on YouTube and check it out. I'm sure, and I'm encouraged, and I'm also certain that you'll get something out of there that will not only challenge you, but it also start the conversation about how you can safeguard your children.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. We don't want to hold everyone too long. We want to give Mr. Frazier all the time that he needs to tell his story. But we have Mr. Antoine on right now. First of all, we really appreciate you having the courage, saying that it's my time to tell my story. So we really appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Frazier, well, we're just gonna cut right into it. We really want you to be as transparent as you are comfortable being. Any question, anything that's a little uncomfortable to you, just let us know. We do want to give the viewers, especially the ones who are new to the show, we do want to give them a trigger warning. We will be talking about molestation. So if that's something that you're uncomfortable with, that is something that we will be sharing or talking about today. Um, and one of the things that we want to, you want to go over something real quick?
Well, no, because I know this is a heavy content, and I know you're going to share a lot about your story. Before you do that, though, can you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Oh yeah, hi. My name's Antoine Frazier. I'm 42 years old. I spent 20 years serving this country for the United States Army. I have 3 kids, 1 boy, 2 girls. Currently in law school right now, and that's pretty much it. I just want to help in any way I can.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, man. So, start off with, your first experience, and then start from there.
Um, so my God, it's funny because I know we talked about it, but within the last couple of weeks, things have just been popping up in my mind. So it's like when I really think about it, my first experience was I was laying in my uncle's bed, and I remember someone was pulling my pants down, and I thought at that moment I was dreaming. I didn't think it was real or anything. and for a long time I just kind of let it go. But there was something about that certain uncle that I never wanted to be around him or be alone with him after that after that happened. 'Cause I didn't know if that was a figment of my imagination or something actually happened.
So, so your first, I guess, encounter or situation concerning molestation was with your uncle.
Yes, he was my great uncle, and the thing about it was a lot of people in the family made excuses for him because he was a Vietnam vet, and they said he was shell shocked. But again, like he's done, you know, I didn't know at that time. Later, I found out he had done it to multiple kids in our family, and people knew about it, and they sheltered him by saying that, or they excused his behavior saying because he was in the Vietnam War.
So, with that being said, so it sounds like eventually your family members did find out. Did you tell your family members immediately after that first encounter?
No, not after that first encounter. Another encounter happened with another family member. My mom was in one room, I was in another room, and another family member threatened me, told me, if you don't give me a blowjob, I'm gonna beat you up. So I yelled for my mom, and all I hear my mom from the other room is she's telling me, Antoine, you need to be quiet, or I'm gonna come in there and beat your butt. So it was like, at that point, hearing that, there was no protection. So my mom, it was already in my head like I couldn't trust her because that like the uncle incident. After this second incident happened, that's when I said something. But then again, there was no trust there. Nobody wanted to believe the kids.
So I want to back up real quick if you don't mind. When it came down, with your first experience, how old were you?
I want to say around 6 or 7.
Okay. And was that the only time where he had molested you in your childhood?
That's the only time I remember. I do remember inappropriate things when I was like around that same age. We were at a family function. I got tired. I remember he grabbed my head, put my head in his lap, and I could feel his erection. Like he was getting erected with my head right there. Like I said, from those incidents, I just did not want to be around that uncle anymore.
And when did it, with your, you said your great uncle, uh, when did it hit you that okay, this is something that's not right. This is something that's not supposed to be done.
Um, I overheard my great grandfather talking about something to that extent about my great uncle, because at the time my great uncle was staying at my great grandparents' house, and my great grandfather did not want him in the house because he knew what was going on. So when I hear my great grandfather say stuff like that, it kind of triggers something. And then um, the same time I talked to my brother and sister, told them, and then that's when they told me the same thing happened to them.
Okay. And to bring some more clarification about the second with the family member, what was your relationship with the family member?
It was like a cousin.
Okay, a
The
cousin.
second one was like a cousin.
Okay. So did your mom overhear specifically what was going on, what your cousin was trying to
N-
do, or she just heard some rep?
No, she was in the other room. The person was, cousin was very quiet when they said it, and then they had their fist balled up like they were going to sock me if I didn't do it.
Got you. Okay. And can you go more in depth with, you said you had conversations about with your other cousins that it also happened with them. Can you go more in depth about
Yes,
that?
it it was like like I said, it was like a family secret with the adults. The kids, we kind of like started putting things together, but it's like I was told from another uncle, like later on when I said something like, he's like, you should have came to me. We keep it in the family, which, you know, you can't keep something like that in the family because you got about like 5, 6 kids who are affected by this, and you don't see it like that. Keeping it in the family is just putting a band-aid on the whole situation.
Let me ask you this, Antoine. So the cousin who molested you was he also molested by the uncle as well?
Yes. So it's like if I'm, I'm gonna be honest and transparent. It was two males, and then there was a female involved that did the same thing to me. I was taking the shower. She came into the shower with her shirt on and just told me to lay on the ground and, got on top of me. And this is because, 9 times out of 10, mom wasn't home, mom was doing something else, or that, my mom used to like to run the street. So as kids, we were just home.
So these weren't just isolated incidents. They continue.
Yes, with the female one, it completely stopped when I was in the 6th grade. With the male one, that was a one-time incident, and that happened when I was in the 3rd grade.
So the first time that once again your mother was made, what actually was your father present by any chance?
No, I have never met my father.
Okay. The first time your mother was aware, did she make any attempt to keep you away from that environment, or because you said that another uncle said that we sweep this under the rug, we keep it in house. How did your mom handle all of that?
Well, come to find out later on that my mom had went through the same thing. So it was kind of like what do you call it? Kind of, I don't want to say tradition, but it's something that happened to her. So I don't know if she thought it was normal that it happened to us. So I don't know how, you know, but her mentality wasn't right because she was, I don't know, because it happened to her. Is that why she was always on drugs and alcohol? Because that's the way I seen her. So the relationship between mom and her kids was never the way it should be. It's like, you know, me and my brother and sister were all in their 40s. We're barely having a relationship with our mom now.
So with you and your cousins, and you touched on this. You said eventually there was a point in time you start putting things together. About what age were you all when you all finally putting things together?
Um, it had to be teenage years. From teenage to probably our early 20s, we started kind of piecing the things together because it was one of those things where, we would go to family functions at great grandma's house, but at the same time, nobody liked to be around that uncle. So I started catching little things. And then once it finally came out what he did, my aunts and uncles started asking their kids what happened.
Okay. And during our previous conversation, you was going into why it was so hard for other people to believe that your great uncle would do something like that. Can you go more in depth with why it was hard for people to believe that this was something that he was doing?
Well, first because he was a Vietnam vet, he was decorated. People didn't want to believe it. Second, he was in leadership in the church we all went to, so everybody thought when stuff came out, we were all making it up. And then you know, he had the backing of our great grandma. My great grandma didn't think he would do something like that, but she told me later on that she knew what he was doing, but her she felt her job as the mother of the family was to protect him.
Okay. All right. And was he only molesting kids within the family?
No, we later found out he was touching other kids when he would go visit Oklahoma, and then touching kids once he would visit LA.
Let me ask you this, Antoine. So from the incidents with your uncle and your cousins, um, did it start to play out, any particular behaviors, I guess, from your adolescence into, your teenage years and early adulthood?
Yes. Teenage years, I was what they consider a problem child. I was always getting in trouble. Not really. Once I got to high school, I really didn't go to school a lot. I ditched school a lot. Once I got to adulthood, I, I started drinking hard liquor a lot. Uh, we'll go to, strip clubs just to, that was my relax. That's how I relax.
So let me ask you this. So, now you're, entering young adulthood and you're joining the military. Um, in your behaviors, I guess, were you able to say attribute your behaviors to what happened to you in those in those incidents, or did you come to a place where you just kind of assume that this is just how I am?
No, what happened was people who were hanging around me started noticing that they told me I was always angry, and I never knew why I was angry. I thought, I just do my job and everything. And everybody said, no, you're angry all the time. And I was like, um, after a while, they suggested that I see a therapist. So I started seeing a therapist, and and she's the one said like a lot of that anger and everything, which is built up from um, all the stuff that happened to me, not, especially with the family, not validating what I said, and then just me pretty much doing it all on my own.
And can you kind of explain a little more how the therapy helped you in other ways as well?
Uh, the therapy helped me open my eyes and let me know it wasn't my fault. Like I didn't do nothing wrong. Because as a victim, you always think you did it, or you feel ashamed. And the therapist let me know that it's like it's not your fault. You didn't do nothing wrong. And the therapist, the one who also gave me the voice, she said, "You have a voice. Use it to help other victims." She said, "You're a survivor, and you shouldn't be ashamed of what happened to you."
So let me ask you this. So, in addition to therapy, have there been any other things that you've introduced to your, I guess, day-to-day life that has helped you heal from your past trauma?
I like to um, take walks in the morning. Just listen to my headphones, just walk around. I get up in the morning, I read, I pray. Um, I just try to do the little things in life because that's what's important. You know, reading helps a lot, praying helps a lot. I just like I tell my wife sometimes I need just my time by myself. It's like that's my self care. I need that time in the morning for myself so I can get do what I need to do for the rest of the day.
I have another question for you, Antoine. With what happened to you, um, how would you say it impacted your relationships?
Um, it you know what it has impacted my relationship in a great deal. For the simple fact was I never wanted to commit. Um, it was part of the um, me being angry and all that stuff that played a part into the my first marriage that failed. Um, and yeah, also play the part where I keep my wall up. I don't like to, talk about my feelings. I like to keep all my feelings suppressed to me. Like I don't like to talk about how I feel or if something's wrong with me. So it that kind of what I went through kind of put up that wall and barrier because I hate to say it because family not believing me, it gets that barrier still up, and it's coming down slowly, but it's still there.
So would you say you're still healing from this?
Yes, I'm still healing. I once in a blue moon, I will have night terrors. I will wake up sweating and stuff like that. So yeah, it's still a healing process for me.
And what's your relationship now with your cousins?
Um, Non-existent. There's no relationship. I told them about, kind of like confronting them, and everybody says it's in my head that that didn't happen. So, you know, I'm all about accountability. So if you can't be accountable, then I don't need to have a relationship with you.
Were you able to ever have the opportunity to confront the uncle?
Yes, when I was about 21 or 22, I confronted the uncle. We were at my great grandma's house. He was on the back porch. I looked at him and told him, I know what you did. He just looked at me, was scared, and he wanted to get it. He wanted to get back in the house. I blocked him from going back in the house because I wanted him to tell me what he had did to me.
And did he? What was his response?
He he just had a look of fear. He had a look of fear because I was confronting him. He never really said he did it, but for me, the satisfaction was that look in his face. Like once I told him, I knew what you've done to me, and it's like he could have turned pale white. He knew he was caught.
So we have a lot of you know a lot of people who are they hear about this problem, but a lot of people are still just unaware of the magnitude of this issue and how common this issue is as well. If you could, you know, say something to the parents, what would you take time out and tell the parents who are listening to the broadcast?
I would tell the parents, listen to your kids. I don't, especially if they're at a young age, they're not going to lie about something like that. And if the kid can't speak, pay attention to their body language when they're around certain adults. A kid, a kid's body language is going to tell you whether or not they want to be around that person, or if they're used to being around that person, and all of a sudden they just stop liking that person. You need to figure out why their body language like that, or you need to start asking questions. Um, I'm like I said, I have two girls, so I'm very protective of who they're around, and you know, uh, they don't spend the night at, they don't do no sleepovers or nothing like that. But it's like you need to really, check in on kids once a week, ask them how they're doing, see how, I think that's that's the issue parents have. We live in a world today where we can't talk to each other. Talk to your kids, put the technology down, see what's going on, because if you don't see what's going on, someone else is going to see it, and then you're the one looking like, why didn't I know that about my kids? Because you're not asking questions.
So, in hindsight, you've had the opportunity to hear that, maybe your mother has gone through a similar experience in her upbringing. Um, have you ever considered the possibility of reconciling that relationship with your mom, or, just, extending that olive branch?
I have. Uh, I extended the olive branch late last year. Uh, she reached out. She just met her grandkids on the week before Easter, so she's like she's more receptive. You know, I had to call her and talk to her, tell her, you have grandkids. We're older. I forgive you. I can't put it all on you because you went through the same thing, but at the same time, I need you to step up and be a grandma because you have grandkids you haven't seen yet.
And there's a lot of there's probably some guys that's listening in that probably had a similar experience as you. And what would you tell those guys who probably had a similar experience as you?
Um, Tell your story. That if you don't tell your story or you don't talk to someone about it, then you're not going to heal. You're not going to start the healing process. You need to open up to someone so the healing process can start. And don't be ashamed. I think society has it where men can talk about this or this is not supposed to happen to us. But guess what? It happens. Let's throw away our pride. Let's throw away our ego and just talk about what happened to us. How can we move forward? And how can we get strength from other men who's been in the same situation?
That's good. That's good. You have any other questions?
No, well, yeah, actually, I think with this subject, there's always more questions to ask, but ultimately, what made you come to the point where you were ready to open up about this, and especially, on this platform?
I think it was time. I was thinking it was time for me to tell my story and not be ashamed of what had happened to me. It, it's it's different telling a therapist because you're behind closed doors. Here you're telling people who are going to watch it and hopefully someone learns something from it, and then someone it helps someone in their healing process. As I listen to the other guys, it helps me in my healing process.
Well, man, I definitely want to say it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do this. And we really do appreciate you coming on here. I know I can only imagine it not being easy to open up, especially in front of an audience full, of strangers. But, I know that your story is going to help other men, who've gone through this, open up and talk about their situation. But ultimately, it's also going to help people once again protect, their children. I think one of the greatest disservices that we do is we live with that mantra: "What happens in this house stays in this house." And what ends up happening is um, it paralyzes generations. And we're ashamed of issues that have happened in the house, and ultimately it's scarring our children, who end up becoming adults who are scarred and not really knowing how to handle life. And so I truly believe that what you shared today is going to help people who may find themselves in a similar situation.
I think you guys, because you guys are doing a tremendous job. You guys are speaking about topics that needs to come out, and some guys are afraid to talk about it. But as long as you guys put it out, people are going to be willing to talk and you know confront the situation that's there.
Awesome. Well, Antoine, hey man, is there anything you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Um, just want to tell everybody, just no matter what you went through, no matter what you're going through, just keep the faith. Everything works out in the end. You know, uh, stay strong. You know, and open your mouth. Use your voice. Your voice is going to help someone else. All you got to do is just believe in yourself and just tell your story.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Antoine, joining us all the way from California, right?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man.
Man, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
So listen, everybody. Once again, that was Antoine Frazier joining us from California, joining us on this series. I was a man and I was molested. Dominique and I we talk about this quite often, especially over the last couple of weeks. This particular subject matter is not easy to talk about, but we know it is necessary because there's so many people who have dealt with it, and and you wouldn't believe how many messages we get in our inbox of people saying, "Hey, look, this is my story. This has happened to me too," and so it can be overwhelming, but it's necessary. So if you believe that what you heard today is going to help somebody, please share this with the person who you believe is going to help. In doing that and sharing it, I really believe that people are going to start to get, healed in this area. And, so that's pretty much all I can really say about it. If somebody that, has dealt with this directly, or if you see somebody who, may be on the verge of coming into this space, like I said, share it with them so we can prevent these type of stories from continuing to be the norm.
Most definitely. We really do hope that even though these are very sensitive and tough subjects, we have to start somewhere. And, even if you don't know where to start, just opening up that conversation with your kids at such an early age, it really grooms them and it shows them that it is okay to have this conversation. So it's very, very important. People always ask, how early should we have these conversations? I mean, when they're toddlers, I think we should just start that early. You get 2-3 years old, have that conversation. They understand when you speak to them and everything else, you can have that conversation. You can start somewhere. So just understand that we have to start. We have to be basic with them. I always use the reference. It's just like math. We don't start with multiplication. We don't start with algebra. We start with counting, and then we start with addition, subtraction. So it's the same thing. Just start where they're at, but we have to have those conversations. And we're gonna get into a little bit, but y'all are starting to realize a trend with the guys that we had on here. We're gonna get into all that as well because we want you all's feedbacks and reactions and so forth, and we want to know if this is something that you want us to continue doing along with other videos as well. We have some great videos on our university page, so that's a great tool for personal development for men, and we really teach them more about some of the things that we struggle with that's more in depth. So we want you to really take advantage of that. We also have a free course on there as well. But once again, we always appreciate you showing love, showing support. If you have any questions, any feedback, you can go ahead and comment, inboxes, or even email us info@whenmenopenup.com, and we are available for speaking engagements, workshops, or whatever other events that you have, because we want to take these discussions and these conversations everywhere. It shouldn't just happen on our podcast, on our platform. We want to take them everywhere. So if you have something going on, whether it's for the men or the young men, we can have those conversations. We can facilitate a workshop there as well. But that's it for now. We're going to keep you all updated. We want you all to join us next time. And please feel free to give us the feedback, give us the love, give us the reviews and so forth. But this is When Men Open Up, a show where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique.
I'm Dexter.
And we are out. We'll see you next week. Thanks.